Hi everyone, this video is going to talk a little bit about Google Forms and not necessarily the building of it, but tips on being more of a better computational thinker, being able to construct a Google form that's going to be efficient for you as a teacher or your students and be able to collect information and look at the data together in a better way. But if you're interested in learning about how to do Google Forms and creating them, I just want to let you know within our post here that we have, there's the Google for Education Training Center that allows you to be able to kind of see training lessons on implementing Google Forms in educational practices. There is also the G Suite Learning Center that allows you to kind of just get started. So if you've never used a Google Form before or any other the products that are available, you could literally click on it and get started here, starting from scratch on how to do it with cheat sheets and tips and all that fun stuff. Very cool that this exists. Just want to share that with you. So getting back to my Google form, a few things to keep in mind with building Google Forms is that when you're utilizing it in a classroom, if I go to that settings little gear there, is that you want to make sure you're collecting email addresses. If you're doing something, whether it's an assessment or a classroom activity or a collection to work together as a team, it's kind of helpful to collect that email address. It helps you to know who is actually turning in what, so at least keeps everybody honest and working together. On top of that, you could restrict within your school district, which is helpful. If you're doing an assessment, limiting to one response makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna hit that save there. Okay, so common things like write your name, that's very helpful because sometimes our email addresses doesn't represent our names well. So make sure you want to have an area for a name. And then this form really, I'm not going to talk about why, but I'm going to talk about, I'm just a usage. So this is elements and inquiry. So say we're talking about the periodic table of elements and we want to inquire, we want to talk about how to be able to disseminate this information together. What I could do is I'm going to show you a few tips. So I'm not a science teacher, so I'm just going to do the basics, but you could elaborate however you want in your classrooms. So here, it's simple as adding any questions, element, symbol, please write here. What type of, what state is it? You probably should type this correctly, right? That's how you spell gas. Good. All right, so gas, where is it found? Something you could type about it. So kids are learning about it, they're reviewing it, they're writing about it. We're not done yet. So this is a good teacher tip. It even something to use as for students, which is, yeah, I could type every element I want here, but there are these really cool things called add-ons. And these add-ons, what they do is make life a little bit easier for you building things. You can find them in all of them, sheets, slides, docs, forms, all that fun stuff. These are where they show up, but if you want to get them, you have to go to the three dots and get them from here. The one I'm going to use here is called Form Ranger. Okay, so on Form Ranger, what you do is you select the question you want it to populate from. Now, I've already created a sheet ahead of time, but I want to show you this because it's very important. In all honesty, you could have a shared spreadsheet of many different answer choices that you could share across your whole school or district, right? They're common things like last names. These are all fake, so I don't care what we're seeing here. States, like if you want to talk about states, amendments, grades, periods, landforms, elements. I could keep on adding columns and columns and columns for pre-populated areas. So think about that because there's a lot of times it's better to share and work together than it is to make these up by yourself. Okay, so I have my sheet of elements right here. So I don't want to retype those. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just go to Form Ranger, hit that little plus button. I'm going to select that sheet that I created called Form Ranger List. So there we go. Awesome. All right. And now I'm going to say, what do I want to pull from? Well, I want these elements. So I'm going to click on elements and I press next. I'm going to call it elements 2 because I had one that was called elements. You can call it whatever you want. It just lets you know what you're pulling from. Okay, so now I'm going to hit save and populate. Boom, there it is. I didn't have to type any one of them in. It's done. So if I am going to do my my activity and I click on the little button here and I could search, bam, I could choose any element I want, type in a symbol, type in all this information, hit submit, and I'm good to go. Next thing I'm going to show you is how to look at that data, how to just take this data and look at it, and some tips on being able to work together not only as a teacher but also as a student.